Well, welcome and hello to all my spiritual friends and all of those that are connecting in so many ways at this time. I wish to welcome you and acknowledge it's 12:12 and time for Awareness Moments with Kyra. So glad to have you with me, Rhonda Wheatley Ives, my cousin. Woohoo! Great to have you here. And so many of you that are joining in. Allison LaMarche Fox, I see you, and E. Lopez Lockhart, and Julie Fields. So glad to have you here because you are the ones that are living in the alignment with a higher truth at this time and holding a consciousness for our world. Elsie Hubner and all of you, we are welcome. I welcome you here. Today, I want to ask a question. How courageous are you? How courageous are you to transform your beliefs, to open to new understanding? You know, we think of courage often as, that we're standing in the face of a danger. And yet, one of the greatest dangers we face in this time of the spiritual awakening is to move into some of those things that would keep us stuck in old patterns or programs or conditioning or places where we've held cherished and treasured ideas about ourselves and the world. And to be able to move beyond those is the place where we call forth our greatest courage. Welcome, Jen Nelson and Domingo de Parra. Great to have you with us. So I want to invite you that one of the gifts that you can give to yourself and to the world is to notice, am I willing to be courageous in the things that would transform my own ways of being, my own ways of perceiving, my own way of understanding the world itself. One of the most challenging areas in spiritual lives is arrogance, spiritual arrogance. And we've seen it be the downfall of many great teachers and leaders in our world. And so what is it to open ourselves to go beyond spiritual arrogance and to recognize that it takes courage to look into and open ourselves to other viewpoints, to other perceptions, to consider things without having a reaction. Spiritual arrogance shows up in our lives as righteousness or self-righteousness, that I think I know, and I categorize and classify and define things as right or wrong, and then I am in judgment in that process. And when I become righteous in any way about anything, I'm actually in a self-protective mode. I'm not in a place of the courage to consider all viewpoints. It takes courage to be willing to consider what someone else is their perception. I don't have to agree with it or disagree with it, but it takes courage to be willing to say, yes, I'm willing to consider all perceptions, all views, all awareness that someone has from their own way of living their lives, their own understanding of things. Welcome, Dave March and Carolyn Holmes-Lenaway. Great to have you both with us. So when we look at the idea of courage and start to say, am I courageous enough to be open? Whew. All right, everybody, take a breath. Let that go. Am I courageous enough to be open to what someone else's perception is? Am I courageous enough to not have to push against it? Am I courageous enough to not be righteous in my own self? It's a self that wants to defend itself and believe it is what is valuable in the world. But we've been talking about our inherent value. So my inherent value doesn't have a need to defend itself. It doesn't have a need to be able to tell you this is who I am and what I am. We think that's the way that we express our courage, speaking up. And sometimes, yes, it takes courage to own and be true to ourselves. That is a courageous act in itself. Welcome, Amber Lonsdale. I love to have my niece here with me. And it is so powerful in this moment to take a look at where have I actually being called to greater courage, to become courageous in letting go of my self-righteousness, in my decision that I need to be, to hold my position, because that's the only way that I'm not vulnerable or I'm holding myself in this world. What if I consider all perceptions and perspectives? I don't have to agree with them. It doesn't really matter. I don't also have to make you agree with me. You don't have to agree with me in any way. And when I let go of that, see, that takes courage to be willing to allow everyone to be exactly where they are in this moment. And without needing to change anyone, not needing to fix, because as soon as we're saying I need to fix somebody, I'm making an assumption that there's something wrong, that there's something broken. And according to my worldview, this is where spiritual arrogance steps in, right? That I believe I know better than you. And according to what I have to say, then you need to also follow my line of thinking. So what if true courage is the willingness to be at home and peaceful in ourselves, not needing to defend ourselves, not needing to push against anyone else, but to stay in a divine curiosity. See, the universe is made of all different diversity. I love that about it. The diversity of our world. Look at the biodiversity around us. It is one of the great gifts and the strengths of our world is the diversity that exists. When we try to homogenize society and the world and ourselves and bring it all into one way of being, then what we're doing is we're really not honoring the diversity of this divine. And so it takes courage to notice, to learn from, to be willing to understand others' viewpoints without needing them to decide that mine is the right one. I can just learn and listen and grow from everything that is informing me. And that takes great courage. It takes great courage to consider that what I've believed and the way I've operated is not necessarily the only way. And it's not necessarily true or truth. Oh boy, that takes a lot, doesn't it? Everybody breathe. We let go that doubt and open to the possibility that other ways of viewing may have incredible gifts to give us. See, this is where the courage comes in, to be willing to notice, to learn, to grow, to see, to not have to be self-righteous or arrogant, spiritually arrogant, that my understanding of the universe is better than yours. Na 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 na. Isn't that what we do? It's so funny, really. And instead, then we shut off our own ability to learn. Or we shut off our ability to grow together. And instead to be able to say, well, tell me more. Tell me about what you're thinking or why you feel that way. Now, doesn't mean, again, you have to agree, disagree. It doesn't really matter. But what matters is my willingness to be courageous enough to look, to listen, to explore, to become curious. And when I become courageous enough to do that, I begin to see the beauty in the diversity. I begin to understand, and reconsider, maybe what I thought before isn't true. Maybe there's an added component that would bless me and expand my consciousness in this moment. You know, it's interesting to me because I find even in myself, when I have a thought and I think it's true, then I go forward, I create a whole world, a reality around what I believe. But what if that's not really, there's components that I just didn't know, I didn't see. And somebody else comes and says, oh no, here's another piece that you didn't know about, you didn't see. Wow, that just solved a whole series of things within my being that once I was courageous enough to be open to the fact that there's more to know. There is more to know than what I know. There's more to explore. There's more to understand. all of a sudden I soften my stance. I become open in a way that creates an exchange with life, an exchange with one another, a place where I can honor who I am and honor who you are. We have different experiences that we've gone through in life, so we have different ways of bringing our awareness forth. What a gift that is. So I want to honor you because I know you that are on here. Welcome Jackie Lawson and Regina Andrews Duarte, that you are the courageous ones. You're willing to explore. You're willing to step into the unknown and find out more. Let's become curious with one another. Let's learn from each other's perspective. Let's expand the diversity of our awareness so that we can be informed by more of the universe, more of the consciousness, and feel more at home with ourselves. That's the place where we no longer have a need to defend our own self because I'm afraid someone doesn't get me. It's really that I'm not willing to get others. And when I become willing to do that, then others become curious about what I have to share because I've softened. I've become open. I've become curious and explorative. So let's go on a grand adventure in courage today. Become courageous enough to explore new ideas, new consciousness, new awareness. Welcome, Marianne Laskin McBride, and thank you. This is a time. Yes, Jen says now more than ever. It is a time when we need to become more curious, to learn from the things we don't know. And I invite you to say thank you to yourself for the willingness to be courageous and come into new awareness and understanding. It is a time for expanded growth, for transforming everything that we've known in the past and consider new possibilities. What an awesome and exciting time that makes it. Not a fearful time. It's an exciting time when we're courageous enough to explore. God bless you, friends. Have a fabulous Saturday. Tomorrow I'll be sharing our Sunday celebration service at 10:30 a.m., so I will not be on with our 12-12 awareness. I'll be back with you on Monday. In the meantime, thank you for being the courageous ones, for letting go of your self-righteousness and softening into curiosity. I am grateful to be on this journey. Each of you that I see on here, welcome Jody Davenport and Robin Stoner O'Malley. I've learned from you, from who you're being and who you are and your way of viewing, and I know that I'm a better person because of each one of you. So thank you. Thank you for being willing. God bless you. Have a great day.